Hello everyone, I'm Alex at Vending Machine Support. In this video, I'm going to show you how to locate and replace the drop sensors on your AMS snack, combo, food, or glass front drink vending machine. So let's get started. Now, the drop sensors in your AMS vending machine is part of the Sense It or Guarantee delivery system. These are the eyes or the sensors of the system. So imagine this, if you ever walked into a store, maybe a convenience store, or maybe when Radio Shack was around, whenever you walked into that store, you opened the door, and as soon as you stepped into the door, a buzzer went off to let you know that, hey, someone had just walked into the store. And the way that system would typically work, you ever looked at it, was there was a little, an infrared eye that would shoot a beam across the front of the door into a reflector. And so whenever you opened the door and you broke that beam, that's what made the buzzing sound. So the same concept, but a little bit, it's the same concept, but done a different way inside your AMS machine is that we have sensors that are looking across the top of the delivery bin, where we can say it is sending some lumps. People say they like to shoot lasers across the front, but it's basically we got some optical eyes that are looking across the top of the delivery bin. So when the customer makes a selection, the spiral makes one full rotation, the product's supposed to fall off the shelf, and when it falls into the bin, it will pass and break these beams, letting the control board know that a product has fallen into the bin, and at that point it will complete the sale. So that's a great thing on these modern vending machines, is having these guaranteed delivery systems to make sure that your product actually gets the customer. Many people may remember from a Seinfeld show where they were trying to get that last Twix and it just wouldn't fall off the shelf because it just hanging on there. You know, that type of machine in that scene was obviously not a guaranteed delivery system in there, but so that's where they started shaking the machine. So having the guaranteed delivery system is supposed to stop shaking the machine, guarantee that your customer is going to get a product, and that's the other thing that you can kind of sell to your location. It says, hey, I'm going to be placing a vending machine into your location where you're always going to get your product or your money back. And again, that's all based upon your Sense It Guaranteed Delivery System on the AMS machine, and it all rides on the eyes that look across the top of the delivery bin. So after that long diatribe, where are the sensors on your AMS machine? Now they are going to, again, as I said, they are located on the top left and right hand sides of the delivery bin. So where that is going to be is, open this door here. I can't get the door open all the way, but you've got a sensor that's going to be located on the top left here and on the right, and there are these little boxes right here. And inside these boxes are your actual sensor boards. So let me get the camera adjusted, bring it down here so you can kind of see where they are, and I'll show you how easy it is to take these boxes off and to remove the sensor and to reattach it and get your Sense It system working up and snuff. So here we are at the bottom left-hand side of the delivery bin, and this is our primary sensor here. So again, I'm going to turn the power off on the machine, like so, and this is going to make sure it's okay for me to touch these components. Now, all I'm going to be looking for is this little small 1/4 inch screw right here. So I'm going to have my 1/4 inch nut driver. I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So I'm going to room in here. I'll take that screw off. And the great thing about this is a new design on these right here, that this is just a little bracket in the back. We're just going to go ahead and pull that loose. And then here we've got our actual drop sensor, and you can see here in the window, this is the window that looks across the top here where the sensor eyes are. And the cool thing about this is actually opens up kind of like a clamshell. And this opens up, and flip it around this way. Now as you can see, we've got some cables coming out the bottom here. These 3 cables. So this is going to be the interconnect cable, and this is going to be our product sensor cable, and this is the main power cable here. But we've got these 1, 2, 3 screws. They're actually not those screws. These are actually posts that the board sits on. These are not Phillips head screws. So again, we've got 1, 2, 3. And to pop those off, we're just fairly gently going to pull on the board, and those will pop loose. So just going to very, I say gently, you're going to try to work work these off here. There's that one. And I'm going to go ahead and try to get the center one back here. There we go. So here I've got the assembly removed. So this is the box that the sensor is in. And then here we've got our actual sensor board. I'm going to flip it around this way. I'm going to try to kind of untangle the wires this way. There we are. So here's our sensor array, or our sensor board. This is the primary sensor board. Now keep a note, we've got this little plastic piece that goes over the locator sensor, which is this offset sensor like this. It sticks up higher than the other sensors across the front here. So make sure we don't lose that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. And then here we're just going to need to undo the harnesses. So we've got, this is the connection for the main connection here. So I'll go ahead and just wiggle this off. There's a little clamp we need to press down on. So I'm going to kind of do this upside down. All right, so I've got that removed. Now we got to remove these ribbon cables here. So the way I'll do this is I'll put my index finger underneath the cable, and then I'll take my thumb over the top, and I'll very gently wiggle the harness off like that. Now these are keyed, so they're offset. What I mean by that is this piece here and this piece here are offset from each other, so we can only put this on one way. And I'll do the same thing to the product sensor, which is this harness here. Just very gently going to wiggle that off. And now that is disconnected. And then here I'll just go ahead and grab the replacement board and reconnect everything. So I'll just start with my product sensor. So here I'm just going to place this on, get it lined up, and I'm just going to press in on it. And it just sits in nicely like this. So I'm going to grab the interconnect cable that I call it. And this is going to go up to the sensor here. Go ahead and press on this. That's in place. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the main cable, which is this right here. And this is the cable that goes to the control board. And that plugs in here. It's keyed. I'll kind of come up to the side angle here and make sure I get it right. And that's locked into place. So here we've got all the cables reconnected. Now, we've got this one unused harness right here, and yours, depending on the model of your AMS machine or the year it was manufactured, this here is actually where the temp probes used to plug in. So the temperature probe used to plug into the drop sensors and then was sent up to the control board through this wire here. Later models or newer models such as this one, the temp probe actually goes directly to the control board. And I believe they changed this due to the fact that when this primary sensor board was to fail, you lost temp sensing. So that was and that would make the compressor stay on 247 here. So I'm just trying to get the camera to unfocus here. There we go, stop doing that. Okay, there we are. So that is where this is. Now where I've seen these sensor boards go bad is sometimes they'll have diodes that will pop, especially right here. This diode right here sometimes pops. And don't know exactly why. That's going to be beyond my pay grade when it comes to that. But this is where you want to replace your sensor board. How you know if your sensor board is not working correctly, you're going to have a sense it blocked error, and you don't have any of your sensors are not blocked. You have a sense it disconnect error, you may have something wrong with the wire here, or the primary sensor board is not working. Another thing, if you have the version of the machines that allow you to do a sensor test, and you can run a sensor test, and if you have @ symbols running across the screen and you've got nothing blocking the sensors, then you probably most likely got a bad sensor board. I'll link to a video above where I talk about that sensor test, and I'll just link it above right up here. So now that we've got the harnesses plugged back in, we need to go ahead and put it back into the casing. So here I'm not going to forget about that little plastic piece that's going to go over the locator sensor. And here I'm going to go ahead and grab the clamshell and go ahead and reattach it. So here we know, here's the clamshell, there's the post that we got to mount this onto. So I'm just going to locate that, get that bottom one set. And the main thing here is we want to make sure that we get this plastic piece into this little hole right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to line everything up. So I'm going to start with this one here. Let's go ahead and press that in. The next one here in the center, snap that down, and snap this one down here. And now all my harnesses are set, and so I can close the clamshell. And then here I'm going to go ahead and so kind of like I'm going to rotate it around. And there is a little hook that this thing is going to sit on here on the backside. Mount it onto that. Locate up the hole here on the side. And I'll go ahead and screw that in, and that sensor will be replaced and ready to go. Now on the other side, it's exactly the same, but you don't have many as wires, and I'll go ahead and jump over and show you how to do the secondary sensor, which is on the right-hand side. Now before I jump over to the right-hand side, I did grab an older style sensor assembly. So I told you this is the new style. The older style looks something like this, and it would be mounted onto the machine in this sort of fashion, and you had to remove this screw here. So it didn't have the clamshell, so this is the older style sensor assembly that was in the machine. So it would be, again, it would be sitting in here in this sort of fashion like this. All right, so you would need to remove this screw here. So again, I'll just go ahead and do that. There's no sensor package in here, but I just wanted to show you the difference here. You would undo this screw here, and this assembly would be sitting in the machine where this is, and you would simply pull off the sensor package, and you would have your sensor boards located inside this little box here. So you would take off the sensor board to replace it, and then you would reinsert it into this package here. This goes on. And then in the back side here, this would just close over this piece here. And then you put your screw back in here, and then you got your sensor package connected up. And again, this would, of course, this here and this here would be bolted to the inside of the door. But this is the older style sensor package for the AMS machines, and all you really have to do is just remove the one screw here to get this box open. So here we are on the right-hand side of the delivery bin to our secondary sensor, which is located right here. So I'm going to go ahead, and here we've got that 1/4-inch screw. Go ahead and remove this one. Take that screw off, set it aside, and then here we can just lift up on the box, pull back, and then here we've got that assembly again, and we've got that really nice clamshell. So this is the actual sensor assembly. I'm going to go ahead and open up the clamshell. I call it a clamshell. There we are. This one's a bit tighter. There we are. Got the clamshell. Then here we've got our secondary sensor. We've got our product sensor there. And then here we have our connection. Again, just like on the primary sensor, we'll just work these little pins off. We got 1, 2, 3 of these pins are pegs that are holding the board on, or posts. And I'm just very gently going to pop these off. Again, this is a lot easier to do when you don't have a camera. And try not to bump the camera. There we are. And make sure you don't lose your little plastic piece that sits on the locator sensor. And drop on the floor here. You know, I'm talking about is this little plastic piece here. Make sure you don't lose that, so set that aside. And again, here we would simply pull this off, pull that harness off. So again, we'll just take this and I'll wiggle that off, and that's how you would reconnect it. So again, these are seated correctly. They're offset, so they're keyed, so they can't you can't really plug these in backwards. But be gentle when working with these. And to reassemble it, I'm going to go ahead and put that little plastic piece on. And I'm going to spin this around so the wires are not all weird. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm going to put this board in with a plastic peg hole going in here like this. And go ahead and snap the board back in place. And go ahead and close the clamshell. And here I've got the completed sensor array. And I'm going to go ahead and slide it back in and mount it to its back mounting piece. And then line up the screw hole, put in the screw here, get it started, come back with the 1/4-inch nut driver, tighten down the sensor, and that's it. So that's all you got to do to get to locate and to replace these drop sensors on an AMS vending machine. Again, this is on the newer style. I showed you what the older style looked like, and the process is exactly the same. Well, I hope you found this information useful about how to locate and replace the drop sensors on your AMS vending machine. Now, if you haven't already, I appreciate if you could like and subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell below. You'll be notified next time I upload a video. As well, be sure to just check the description below for any affiliate links I might have. That will help you support the channel at no extra cost to you. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.